I think it's less important to obsess over teaching your children or your employees everything, and it's more important to lead by example. Demonstrate day in and day out the human you are, the human you want them to be. You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're gonna help you get there. I'm your host, Isabel Guarino, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. I am who I am because of osmosis. That's right, we're talking about osmosis this week, which is the process of gradual or unconscious assimilation of ideas or knowledge. When you do something repetitively, it becomes an emotional response. For me, it's speaking. And I've had people say to me that I'm channeling my dad or that I sound just like him. This didn't happen on purpose or because my dad sat me down and trained me to be just like him. It came through osmosis. Very few times did my dad sit me down and actually teach me a lesson, teach me something. He just happened to be an excellent human who took care of his family, stayed humble, was kind, and always helped others. If you were around him or in the same room as him, it was damn near impossible to not walk away with a little nugget of wisdom about really anything. I was always picking up things from my dad and always taking notes. My dad was excellent at leading by example, and that's not an easy thing to do. It's much easier to do as I say, not as I do. But leading by example requires immense effort and integrity. If you're a young boss trying to build a business, trying to build a culture, you better be about it. To me, I think that osmosis is really important when you're trying to teach your team a lesson on how you want them to behave, because it comes down to emotions, right? My dad didn't sit down and teach me stuff, but he really would show me stuff, and now I feel connected to those things. So when I look back, it's easy for me to recall on them because there's an emotional response tied to them. When you sit down and have crucial conversations with your team, or take a moment where you go through an example of something they did right or they did wrong, they'll have an emotional response on it. And when that situation comes up again, they're going to rely back to that moment and go back into that emotional state and be able to move forward from there. When it comes to getting your team to follow you in osmosis, I always think of like customer service. To me, when a customer's unhappy and they want a refund, even if they fully used our services, I'm like, refund them. Even if it's outside of our engagement agreement with them, because I want them to be happy. And I want to stand by what our company stands for, which is truly doing good and doing well for other people. So I try to teach my team through my actions. How would I behave? How would I handle this situation? They learn from me. When you're onboarding your team, make sure that the training aligns with your company practices. Your onboarding and your training should be congruent with the way things are, not with what you think or what you want them to be. You're going to create confusion and bad habits if you're trying to teach them one thing, but you do another. Your business can't just be a horse and pony show. There are plenty of companies that emphasize culture and values and systems and all that, but it's just talk. And it's not work. Shout out Rihanna. People will see right through you, especially young kids. If you're a young boss, maybe you have younger people working for you, or you have kids yourself. Think about when you were a kid and a parent told you to do one thing and they did the exact opposite. I bet you know exactly how that moment made you feel. Do as I say, not as I do. Caution against saying one thing but doing another. It sets a bad example for your team to follow, and it also works in reverse. If you say one thing but do another, watch. They'll start doing what you do and not what you say to do and not what the rule book says to do. This happens with kids, and it happens with your coworkers, with your team members. So be careful. They are learning through what you do. They're watching you and they're copying you. When it comes to tools to use for onboarding, I love Trainual. I think Damon John is an investor or owns it, but it's a really great tool where you can literally create your SOPs online in a super fun and easy way to go through them. You can add GIFs, you can have videos that you can film on Zoom or Loom. They're nice and easy to watch, and you can tick things off as you're going along. The reason I love Trainual, you can go back, you can search for when you have a question on a certain subject. And Asana is another great tool where you can load in all of of the daily tasks and to-dos, the longer projects that your team is working on. You can keep it all in one place and everyone can communicate together in one place that holds your history and your future to-dos all in one. But when you're using these tools, make sure that they're in alignment with what you actually do. There's a thing that our company does called Foundational Fridays, where we go through our training, we go through our SOPs, and we ask the question, is this how we do it? Because if it's not, then we need to change the method. Because when a new person comes in, if we say, oh, here's how you do it and show them the old trainual, if it's not what we do, this is gonna lead to a lot of confusion. Just because I want them to do it that way, it might not be what they're actually doing. So use tools like Trainual, Loom, Zoom, Asana, but make sure that you're continually updating these things with a tool like Foundational Fridays.
Hey there, are you tired of being an average Joe? The Young Boss Podcast is here to help you shake things up and grab your career by the horns. So hit that subscribe button and let's get things started. Now, back to the show.
Your team is going to look up to you as a young boss. You not only have the chance to impact them at your company, but you also have a great chance to help build them into a great team member for the rest of their lives, teaching them to care about customers, help other coworkers, and respect their boss. Just how you're more than likely running your business for the long game, for some long-term purpose or goal, you need to manage and train your employees for their long game, for their larger purpose and goal. If you're asking your team members to dedicate themselves to your brand, to your business, then you should reciprocate those actions by providing a workplace that honors their commitment to your long game. When I was a nanny, I loved working with my boss. She was amazing, and it made me go into all my other jobs thinking this is how it would be. And I quickly learned it wasn't going to be sunshine and rainbows. I had to live the lesson to learn it. But after that, I decided to only look for bosses who had qualities and traits that I knew I enjoyed working with, qualities my previous boss had embodied. She really encouraged me to be a great boss and show my coworkers, my team members, how to lead them. Because when she led me in a great way, it really encouraged me to say, I love work. I enjoy this. I have so much fun coming every day. You're a great leader and you show me what to do and you exemplify everything that I want to be. It's kind of like the Bible says in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. When you're a boss and you want to show someone how to behave at your job, also consider that they're learning lessons from you that they're going to take for the rest of their lives into all of their future careers, all of their future jobs. So make sure that you're teaching them good lessons. When I think about my boss that I had when I was a nanny, the way she led me, the way that she trained me really encouraged me to be the type of boss I am today. Not only was she incredibly motivating to me, but she encouraged me as someone who was working for her to make decisions and be independent. She gave me guidance, but also let me choose things. She really put a lot in my hands because I was watching her kids. I was running her household and she let me make these decisions because she taught me and then she trusted me. And so I learned as a boss, that's exactly what I love. I love to teach my employees, this is what I need you to do because this is what I would do. This is what I'm always going to do. Osmosis, and then encourage them to do it, whether or not I'm there or not. This really allows me to work on my business and not in it. It helped me go from a solopreneur to an entrepreneur. It helped me work with a team instead of doing everything myself. And really, I learned this from that job being a nanny and my incredible boss. If you're leading with authenticity and honesty, your team has likely become a really good sponge, soaking up every word and behavior. That being said, as a young leader, you need to be cautious. Don't be afraid and worried, but be cautious and be aware. Speak with conviction. Don't be flippant. It's a spicy world out there and things can be and have been taken out of context and misunderstood. Imitation is a dicey game too. What you say or do can and will be replicated. So lead and speak with conviction always. I get it. It can be very tough for a visionary, for a young boss like yourself. Many visionaries are idea guys or gals. They're always bursting at the seams with ideas, and sometimes they share their ideas with the group, just to float it out there. It's their passion, creating things and sharing ideas. However, buyer beware, visionaries need to be able to read the room and understand the setting and group at large before sharing certain ideas. Oversharing could possibly scare some of your more cautious team members. especially your CFO or whoever handles your money. Depending on the delivery, sharing ideas willy-nilly can accidentally make them think you're actually moving forward with the idea that you've just shared. While you can always qualify your statements ahead of time, sometimes it's best to just keep the ideas to yourself. You be the judge. I know for me, I like to share my ideas with the team and kind of run them by them. But sometimes when I do share it with the wrong person, all of a sudden they're like, so do I drop all the projects I have now and go full throttle with this? Or when do we begin? What's the budget? And it's like, whoa. I was literally just sharing an idea. I was just getting excited. I just wanted to run the idea back and forth with you. What did you think about it? Was it good? Was it bad? And that can be really tough. So I've learned that I can only share my ideas with certain people, especially other visionaries who are maybe in masterminds with me or who aren't in my business at all. And I can run the idea by them and we can troubleshoot and they can tell me if it's totally terrible or if it sounds pretty awesome. And now I can bring it to a trusted member on my team to do the same thing, kind of run it by them. And hopefully they're not going to jump to any conclusions, but you've got to be really cautious with that because I know sometimes as visionaries get excited and they just like bring something to the table, the team can be like, whoa, what's going on here? Is this what we're doing? And maybe they get all freaked out and move all the money somewhere, stop what they're doing and go full throttle with that. And you're like, bro, it was just an idea. Don't take action yet. I didn't say anything. So we need to emphasize the importance of congruency between words and actions in building trust with your team. I also want to say this, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I know when I have my trusted people on the team who I get to share my creative ideas with, it actually inspires them to start sharing creative ideas with me. Just the other day, my sister, who is my CFO, shared with me a children's book she's working on all about residential assisted living. I could not have been more excited. The fact that me sharing with her all my inspiration and my ideas, hey, I want to start a book, a podcast, of this, of that, and she's so excited and all for it. And then it inspired her to come up with her own creative ideas, make something happen and bring it to the table. That was everything to me. I was smiling. I'm still smiling right now because I was so excited watching the creative ideas she came up with. So osmosis is real. When you are a certain person to your team, to your trusted people, and you start sharing with them your ideas, your visions, they're going to start bringing it to you too. And that can be really, really cool. At the end of the day, if you're going to talk the talk, then you better be damn prepared to walk the walk. Employees' patience is dwindling these days, and they're feeling more empowered than ever to hold their leaders accountable. And rightfully so. That's a culture that I want to build. A culture centered around honesty, authenticity, creative, and risk-taking. A culture centered around leading by example, by setting the tone day in and day out. Doing all these things at such a high level that I don't even need to explicitly communicate them to my team. They just take notice. They become inspired and influenced. But you better be prepared because you make yourself vulnerable and expose yourself to criticism and feedback every time that you put yourself out there. Although if the Kool-Aid tastes good and feels good, they're likely to come back for more. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Young Boss Podcast with me, Isabel Guarino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and let me know, has your team ever picked up a good or bad habit from you through osmosis? Maybe something that you were like, oh my gosh, not that. Let us know in the comments, and don't forget, youth is your power.